Hey, Sunday night soul timers. Welcome to the first Sunday night soul time of the new year. I hope you're doing well. I hope you had a good holiday. I'm so excited to be back with you. I know I took a little bit of break at the end of last year, but it was needed. So I hope you're all doing well. If you're new to Sunday night soul time, this is really a place for you to just get that motivational guidance, really take a reset and kind of deep breath as you prepare for the week ahead. And it comes out on Sunday nights because that's when we all start to stress, right? We start to worry about all the things we have to do, all the things on our plate. So this is just a place for you to really take some time to focus on who you are, what you're doing, and what you're creating from a really intentional space. My goal for you is to not go through life of reacting to life, but instead to come and create from a real place of what you want, acknowledging what you want and creating a life that you love with intention. And to do that, you have to really be in conscious awareness. You can't just be a robot going through the motions. You can't just be reacting. You can't just feel like you're getting through. That is a survival state of consciousness. And if it sounds cliche, but if you're only surviving, you're really not thriving. And my goal for you is to thrive, for you to wake up and love what you're doing every day, for you to wake up happy, for you to feel fulfilled. And to do that, again, you've got to be present. You've got to be conscious. You've got to really create life with intention, which is why the topic I really want to invite you to focus on this week, it's one we're doing in the Woman's Purpose community, which I do have an announcement about at the end of this, if you want to stay on for it, but is to really not jump into this January from a place of resolutions or even intentions or even goals. I actually want to invite you to peacefully transition into this year. And to do that, I want to invite you to do something we're doing in the community this month, and that is to reflect on all the ways in which you have grown in the past year. Because if you just kind of start, kind of heading, feet first into this year from a place of, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to achieve this goal, you are really in many ways coming from a place of lack and limitation if you have not first reflected and acknowledged and honored all the ways in which you grew in the past year and are operating from there, from a place of abundance within. So that's what I want to actually invite you to do. Okay, rather than this kind of seeking energy, this energy, I've got to do this, this, and this because something is missing in my life. And therefore, I'm going to go get it full steam ahead. Try something different. Try treating January as a month where you're going to actually reflect and acknowledge all the incredible work that you've done on you in the last year. And again, even if I say that and you're saying, well, I haven't done much, there you go. That is your limited thinking. That is you not acknowledging the fullness and the potential that is you. And that's why I want you to take a moment to do it. Even if you weren't intentional about your growth in the last year, you had it because we're always changing, we're always evolving, and we're always growing. So I want you to acknowledge what is, the awesomeness that is you, the potential that is in you, and then set intentions from that space rather than just heading in, like I said, like kind of bull with the horns, right? Like going in full force, like I've got to do this, this, and this. Because if you're really honest with yourself, that is coming from a place of something is missing. Okay. So here's some guidance about how to go about doing that. And look, what I want you to do is just have some honest reflection. Okay. Take some time to get quiet and really journal. Maybe you make a list, whatever it is. But the goal is, what are all the ways in which I grew last year? And take a moment to just acknowledge ways that you grew that you weren't even focused on from an intentional standpoint. If you're not doing this type of work, if you're not focused on self-improvement, spiritual, personal growth, then really just take a moment to acknowledge where you did grow, because you did. You're growing whether you're focused on it or not. The thing is, if you really start putting intention behind it, then you can 10x how you're growing and evolving as a human being, how you're doing this spiritual dance that we're all doing, which is to grow and evolve, to ascend. Okay. So I have some suggestions of some areas, I'll call them buckets, for you to consider just to get you thinking about the possible ways in which you grew. Okay. And then I just want you to take 10 minutes Journal, make a list, and just acknowledge and honor. Just acknowledge and honor the incredible ways in which you've grown. So the first way I will call the purpose bucket. So this can be your professional growth. This can be how you're showing up as a leader. This could be how you are showing up if you feel really deeply connected to purpose or a sense of purpose in your life, how you're living that, how you're living your purpose as a leader. Are you anchoring your business, your leadership style to your values, to who you are as a human being? And in what ways did you grow and evolve in that sense? Perhaps you had an idea for a purpose-driven business and you launched it last year, or you did some great conception on work on it. That is another area where you can acknowledge growth. Perhaps you walked away from something. Perhaps you walked away from a career that wasn't serving you because it wasn't fulfilling your soul. That can be another way for you to acknowledge growth in what I'll call this first bucket, the purpose bucket. Okay. The second bucket for you to consider, I'll call the spiritual bucket. So in what ways are you living your life embodied as your higher self, as your soul? Okay. In what ways are you feeling connected to the universe, to God, if that's the word that works for you, to divine source presence? In what ways are you feeling a sense of peace, connectedness to other human beings, and really feeling more anchored to the energy of love from a state of consciousness and being rather than that voice of fear? Okay. And you can assess this by how you're moving through your life from a place of feeling interconnectedness with others, with the world, and a state of peace and calm, perhaps a state of surrender and trust if you have a relationship with a higher power. If you practice a certain religion, perhaps that will be a measure and a metric for you to look at the ways in which you have had spiritual growth. If you're more of what I'll bucket as a yogi like me, how much did you show up in practice, in meditation, in prayer, in asanas, in all the kind of different things that you do there. And it's not even just showing up, but how much did you allow yourself to receive from those practices? So again, that is spiritual growth. And I will say right now, the tendency will be because of this, and I can even feel it right now. I do it for myself, is to start going, oh, but I've still got to do work here. You can do that later when you start to set intentions. Right now is to acknowledge the growth, acknowledge the positivity, acknowledge the ways that you really grew as an individual, as a human, as a soul in the last year. So really, if you find yourself going into, I need to do this, redirect and focus instead on the positive. Okay. That's the practice right now. The third bucket is what I'll call the emotional bucket. So how in touch are you with your feelings? Are you making time to honor them? A real good measure of this is taking notice of how you're reacting to situations or people that perhaps triggered you, or once triggered you. Whether you're making time to just be in touch with your feelings, feel your feelings. Look, if we are not having a healthy relationship with our feelings, we are not moving through life in a way that serves us. So really reflect on this bucket as well, if that's an area that you feel called to focus on. And again, focusing on your growth. The next is mindset. Okay. And for some of you, this might be new. So you might choose that this is a bucket you may or may not reflect on in terms of growth. But the real call here is, how often are you being ruled by this, ruled by the thoughts, the fear-based thoughts you have, believing in them, identifying with them, and acting from there, versus consciously choosing your thoughts because you know that the thoughts you choose shape the reality you experience. And that is inherently your superpower. Okay, that's one way to think about this one. The other one could just be, how often are you in a positive mindset versus letting negative thinking take over? And that's when a lot of you, that if you're not consciously focused on this, that might be an area for you to really reflect on in terms of growth. I was a lot more positive last year. I practiced gratitude. I did this. I didn't let myself spiral or act based on negative thinking. Okay. So again, mindset, right? It all starts with with thoughts and becoming aware that we have the ability to consciously choose our thoughts rather than letting them choose us and almost be a prisoner to them. So that's another potential bucket for you. And the final one is just physical well-being, right? And, this is the time of year that we tend to think about it, but I still want you to focus on growth. Don't just like use December as your metric the whole year. Like, how much did you honor your body? How much did you really, take time to, do the practices, whether it's eating healthy food or exercising or what have you, to really honor your physical well-being? And look, those are just 5 buckets. There might be others. So really the exercise, first and foremost, is just you taking time to reflect on the ways in which you've grown this year. And I invite you to really spend time doing this and honoring this before you get into what we all want to do this month, is intentions, goals, resolutions, whatever they are. Like, acknowledge the good first, and then move into 2023 from here. So that's it for this first Sunday night soul time of the year. I did want to say, in the Women's Purpose community, we are currently welcoming in new members. We only do that twice a year, in February and July. We do have a couple groups open. So if you're a senior exec woman who really wants to be in a sacred community of women that practice embodied vulnerability, connect from their heart space, and really just focus on their personal growth, their spiritual growth, how they're showing up in this life, working on the different life lessons that they have, across all facets and areas of our life. And I really invite you to check out the website, womenspurposecommunity.com. I'll put it in the description here, but would love to have you. So definitely reach out for that. And that's it for now. I hope you have a beautiful new year. I can't wait to be back with more of these for you. And I'm just wishing you all the best. Take care for now, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.